Hi everyone, Michele Kubiak. I am with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services of Nevada. My license number is S.48606. And what's going on in the market? I know I stay away from mainstream media. If you're getting spooked by whatever the media is saying, really just reach out to a local realtor. Even if it isn't me, just ask them about the market. I'm in the trenches every day. I'm constantly learning and staying on top of the market, and it's super important to do that. Sure, rates went up, Some of the builders are offering lower interest rates. The demand is so high, and I have something going on screen that says the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market. And like the buyer's market is when there's a huge supply of homes out there, and you can pretty much get the seller to pay your closing costs or whatever you want. We haven't seen that type of a market in quite some time. Sure, we had a few months there where it was straight, where we thought it was a buyer's market, then they said it was a balanced market. Right now, I would say we're more in a balanced market. It changes every week, believe it or not, just because of what the Fed is doing with the interest rates. The rates went up. One of the lenders I spoke with last week had quoted somebody a 7.625 interest rate. But don't let that scare you from buying. There's builders out there that are offering lower interest rates, and I know where they are. And it's not for every home that builder isn't. You might see an article that says, builder ABC offering 4.99% interest rate. That is happening. I've sold quite a few new homes lately. So that's the difference. Right now, our supply, our next slide that's going to come up is about the Las Vegas real estate, where it has the most expensive house and most, the average house price. But the supply of homes is at a 7.2 week supply of homes. So what does that look like? A month and 3.5 weeks. So that's not a lot of inventory for homes, and that's why we're seeing multiple offers. That's why the sellers are no longer paying closing costs on properties. Houses are flying off the market if they're priced right. If they're overpriced, they're going to sit, and that's when you're going to see the price reductions and so forth. But so this week, the average sales price of a home was $593,822, and the most expensive home sold in Las Vegas. Guess how much?
8 million?
No, 14,250,000. So, who can buy houses like that? I mean, it could be investors. Like we just had a real estate investor on the show. It could be people moving here for the Hollywood, like we've talked about before. They're just coming from other places like California, because California was imposed a mansion tax. So Californians are selling their mansions there and moving here.
Geez, who would know that? You.
See, yes.
Educate us. That's what you're
Well, you gotta go. Like, I just believe in going to the economic forums and listening to people. Doesn't matter if somebody's in the business a year, I still learn something from them. If they're in the business 30 years, still learn something from them. You gotta stay on top of it. So in a nutshell, we're seeing more houses go under contract than are coming on the market. So if you're a buyer out there and you're struggling to get an offer accepted, don't just hang in there. Stick with it. You'll eventually get the property that you're supposed to have. And do you have any questions?
Well, one thing I want to commend you on. Last week when we did our show, Michele got off the show, and within, I'd say, 5 minutes, she got on and did a broadcast of, hey, realtors out there, let's all work together.
Yes.
I can help you. You're like I was just amazed because I caught it. You were like networking with fellow realtors. You weren't going to say seller buyer. You were like realtors networking.
Yes.
And I'm just going, man, she doesn't ever take her cape off.
Yeah.
Just
I just think, sure, we're all realtors work with different companies, but we're all one big team under the Realtor brand with the National Association of Realtors. Those that have joined the National Association of Realtors. So I just feel like we work together. I mean, why get in fights with other realtors, or why not be part of their team even if they're at ABC Real Estate Company,
Well, the big word right now, and I've always done it because when I work in nonprofits, the word is collaboration.
Yes.
It is. Our executive producer just did a show on collaboration.
Yes.
Thank you, Maria. So it's collaboration, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Not one-upsmanship and everything. We need to work together. We all have our own little talents, our little idiosyncrasies that make us stronger, not weaker. We should look at it that way. That's collaboration. And I like to talk about that in nonprofit world sometime again soon, but we need it. One question I do have for you also is this like for Las Vegas? You've been in this business quite a while. Is this the height of the season right now? Is it summertime when people buy and sell the most as opposed to winter? And are we kind of ramping up, or are we getting into it? Or
it's busy, and yeah. I know that I was showing homes last week, and there were people waiting to go in the house, and there were people waiting behind us knocking on the door. So it like, again, it is if the house is priced right. Those are going to be, or the house is what we call a unicorn, where it's perfect, move-in ready, been upgraded, where the buyer doesn't have to go in. So those are seeing multiple offers. I wrote a few in the last week that, they didn't get accepted because people with financing can't always win over cash unless you use one of our sponsors, Larry Garluzzo. He has a cash option.
Yes.
So that's a good choice.
Thank you, Larry.
But I mean, it is busy. We had once after everybody pays their taxes or get their taxes back,
right.
It gets super busy.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. And so, I'm having a good year.
Yes,
in comparison to last year. Last year was a little scary because, when rates went sky high from 2% to 6%, the market just stopped for a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
ideally, it would be great if it was kind of like at a medium point and maybe higher all year long, because then it's steady. It kind of says something about the economy. But our economy has a lot to do with it too. Up, down, right. When people buy, sell, when they're scared, when they're not scared, when they feel confident. It'd be great to see if we could just kind of do that, but that's not the real world anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, no.
Well, once again, how do people get a hold of you?
Oh, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Michele with one L, Michele _ Kubiak, Kubiakre. And then also 702-683-6576. And I do have a property of the week. And again, if you're a realtor out in the community and you have a listing that needs to be promoted, that needs some loving, that's not getting offers on it, please message in the comments. Maria will make sure to get that to me. And the property that we have today to feature is at 8077 Avalon Island Street. That is in the 89139 zip code. And if you're not familiar with Vegas, that's considered the southwest area of town. It's offered at $635,000. It has 2,842 square feet with a 3-car garage. I always like to see people in that price range get a 3-car garage, because you got to think, when you're going to sell your house one day. I always plant that seed in my buyers' heads is, I know you're buying this house to buy it right now, but we also got to think about your future. And if you buy a house this price point, we should probably try to get you a 3-car garage unless you absolutely fall in love with the house with the 2-car garage. Because ultimately, you're going to need to sell that house one day, which isn't in your thought process right now. It's always in mine, though. So it's always a good food for thought,
And if you
back.
have children growing up and you get a car, it's another. I mean, that too.
Right.
That's like that's for the child. For the yeah, exactly,
Yes.
exactly. Well, Michelle, you cover it all. I mean, I have to say, um, you're one of the most professional people I've met in your industry. I mean, I've met other professional people too, but you are very professional, and we're so glad to have you on this show.